Our next guest is Senator Rick Santorum. Former United States Senator Rick Santorum is co-founder of Patriot Voices, a grassroots and online community of Americans from across the country committed to restoring the American dream for hardworking families. As a United States Senator, Senator Santorum wrote and championed legislation that outlawed the heinous procedure known as partial birth abortion, as well as writing the Born Alive Infants Protection Act, the Unborn Victims of Violence Act, and the Combating Autism Act, because he believes each and every individual has value and the most vulnerable in our society need to be protected. It is now my pleasure to introduce you to Senator Rick Santorum.
Excuse my casual attire, but I'm marching today, so I want to make sure that I'm nice and warm. After last year, this is going to be, I feel like I'm going to be in Orlando today. Thank you all. First off, thank you FRC for putting this gathering together. It shows their continual wonderful support for the pro-life movement. So I want to thank Tony and everybody here for the opportunity to come by, and I want to thank all the previous speakers for their courage, for their vision of providing a real positive vision for our country to be accepting and welcoming of all human life. I mean, that's really what this issue is about. I mean, it comes down fundamentally as who is part of our family here in America? Who do we accept? Who are we willing to love? And we can have as we have in America today, we can have a limited view of that. We can have a view that, well, we only accept and love people that are perfect and that we're willing to accept, not children with anencephaly because they can't do much. We have a little girl, many of you know, named Bella. We're very, very excited that next month Karen and I have been working on a project now for a few years. Some of these projects work. It takes a while to percolate up. Karen and I and our daughter Elizabeth are very, very excited about a book that's coming out on February 10th called Bella's Gift, about our daughter Bella. And to the world, and unfortunately, as we found out to many in the medical profession, children with trisomy 18, children who, at least according to the medical definition, are, quote, incompatible with life, are not deserving of care, not deserving of real treatment that, other than palliative treatment. They're not deserving of life-saving treatment or treatment that can help continue and improve the quality of their life. And that's all part of the culture of death. It's all part of the idea that we aren't going to welcome certain people here and treat them equally. Imagine that. Many of those who cry for equality, and yet when it comes to those who don't have utility, equality goes by the wayside. It's a rather casually disregarded. So I'm really excited to be putting forth this book to deliver the message that every life matters, and that we as a society should be welcoming to all, because the incredible gifts that God has planned for each and every one of us, we have no idea. I had no idea the little girl with trisomy 18 could have such a huge impact on so many people. A little girl who can't talk, can't walk, only communicates through her eyes and through that wonderful sense you give just by being in the room with her. Those are gifts. And if you look at the millions of abortions that we've had since Roe versus Wade, it just boggles the minds of the gifts that we have foregone in America. So much potential, so much goodness that could come from being open and affirming as a society to all human life. And so that's what we commemorate today, this sad day, this tragic day, when 9 people decided to take out of the hands of the American public what they have an absolute right to do, which is to determine the moral compass and pathway for our society. And I know there are other decisions that the court's going to be considering where they may end up doing the same thing. Hopefully they've learned a lesson that when you decide to put yourself in front of the American public and decide what is moral and just for them on issues of this magnitude, that the truth will never, ever be held silent. The truth will always fight. The truth will always have its voice heard. It may not win, at least initially, but truth will always, always be sounded out. Maybe from voices who have their neck with the boot of the government on it, which is how many pro-lifers feel today, where they have no rights. But it will be heard, and it will continue. And that's why I march. That's why we march. Because we have an obligation to make sure that our country, even as little coverage that the mainstream media will give this march, we have an obligation to go out and deliver the truth. I'm happy to take a question or two if they ask me to leave some time for questions, and I just got the sign to. Yes.
Thank you for coming, Senator. Could you speak a little bit about some of the details about the book and how it came about? I mean, like not how it came about, but just some of the stories that you've heard speaking with constituents from all across the nation.
Well, the book is about our daughter, Bella, and Karen and I. It's really been a project Karen's wanted to do, and we decided to work on it collaboratively. Truth be told, we were going to write it. We're going to write the book together with our daughter Elizabeth, who's going to sort of help shepherd the process. And after a day, we decided that, my voice, what I was going through was something very different than what Karen was going through. And trying to write it as one voice was really a disservice to the reader. Because one of the things we found that because I was going through something, and Karen and I were going through something different, both emotionally, spiritually, that it would be helpful to parents and the public to see. I mean, many people look at, Karen Rick Santorum, and they have 7 kids, and we have little Bella, and it's just the perfect family, and everything's great. That's just not the way it works. It's a struggle. I think the number is 85% of marriages that have a child with a severe disability end up in divorce. It's stressful. It's a strain. It's tough. It's a joy. It's a blessing. It's awesome. But it's both those things. And we decided that it was best not to sugarcoat that. And so it was a difficult process for us to. So it ended up. Karen wrote part of the book. I wrote part of the book. It was an even balance. Karen has 11 chapters. I have 7. Her chapters are generally twice as long as mine, but that's the way it should be. She carried the laboring oar most decidedly on raising and caring for Bella. So hopefully people will learn from our experience. In many respects, it is a book on all life matters. It's also a book on marriage. It's also a book on faith. All of those things, very, very important parts of the soup that made Bella the happy, healthy girl she is today. Anybody else? Yes.
What do you make of the House Representatives? What do you make of the House Representatives yesterday canceling the pain-capable abortion bill? Something that has polled very well, something that had a little bit of opposition that surprised people at the last minute. What do you make of the House decide not to vote on that?
Well, all I can say is that I'm sure the leadership is looking at the situation, and the most important thing you want to do is you want to have a bill that can pass. You don't want to bring up a bill that's not going to pass. So if the reason the leadership decided to pull it was they were concerned that they didn't have the votes to pass it, that's a legitimate reason to pull a bill, to begin, to make sure that you work so it's successful. So I don't know the details as to what the leadership's thinking was. We're disappointed that it sounds like several members were concerned about this bill, and this is an issue that, as you mentioned, is overwhelmingly supported by the American public. I mean, you have these children. I know a little bit about this because, you know, the partial birth abortion bill was very much this group of babies who are 20 weeks plus gestational age, which is what partial birth was used on. And so we saw the bipartisan support that came from eliminating this procedure, and now with all the advances of medical science, it's fairly clear. That's why younger people are more and more pro-life, because they see the truth. You can't argue the fact that when you look at this baby in the womb that it's a baby. I mean, you can say it's a blob of tissue, you can call it whatever you want, but it's a baby. Obviously it's a baby from the beginning, but it looks like a baby at 20 weeks. And in a visual world where emotions are important, the reality sets in. And so I don't understand why anyone, for any reason, would oppose a bill that says we can't kill these little children. And so it's disappointing in that regard, but I hope the leadership is doing their job responsibly to make sure that we don't have a bad situation where we bring a bill up and we lose it. That would be the worst thing to have happen. So we'll wait and see. Thank you all very much. God bless.
On our 10th annual, we also have a very special treat. We are doing this for the first time. We're going to actually go to the National Mall and have Josh Duggar, the Family Research Council's Action Executive Director, who will be doing some interviews there. So hang on. And it's live.
Well, thanks so much, Arena. We are here at the National Mall. You can see the stage is set up behind me. It's a little bit muddy out here today, but I'll tell you, I got my coffee. I'm ready for the day. I got my boots on, and I'll tell you, it's a little warmer than it has been the last few years. For those of you who have joined the March for Life in the past, you know how the conditions normally are. I'm just thankful to see the sun shining out here today. There's lots of people coming out, and I'm joined by some of my family. Here. And Lawson, I was just thinking about all the great times. You've been to the March for Life. What do you think about the atmosphere out here today?
I think it's great. This is going to be the best one in a while just because the weather. I think it's going to be...
Well, I'm at Josh Duggar on Twitter and Instagram. You know, people getting the word out, it's not just about being here at the March, although you got to make it out to the March, but it's also about speaking out, and that's what we're seeing as we encourage people around here as well. Josie, what do you think about the weather? I know it's a little muddy out here as well.
It feels much better than last year.
You can definitely say that. And Ginger Duggar, Ginger, you have made the trek all the way. Stand up.
I think it's really neat to see just everyone coming out and that voice that's there standing up and speaking for those who can't speak for themselves. And so we're just encouraged this year to continue that.
Well, and you know, the weather is not the primary thing, but I have to say this is important, and the fact that you know the weather is, God has definitely given us some gracious weather here today. So Jana's over here, and Jana, what do you think about the people that are speaking out online and the fact that it's not just about being here and standing, but even going out there and writing things and posting? What would you say are the most important things people can be telling their friends?
I think to get out and to stand up for what's right, even though others around you may not be doing that, just stand firm in what you believe.